Welcome to Blink News Insights. I'm Adnan and you are watching my YouTube channel. We are covering the top stories from the world. Starting from US. The Supreme Court grants Trump immunity from prosecutions for official actions. The US Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that Donald Trump has immunity from prosecutions for actions taken as president. This decision delays the Trump's criminal trial for the January 6th insurrection and marks a historic change, shielding presidents from criminal accountability. President Biden denounces the ruling while Trump celebrated it as victory for democracy.
Today's decision almost certainly means that there are virtually no limits on what a president can do. This is a fundamentally new principle, and it's a dangerous precedent, because the power of the office will no longer be constrained by the law, even including the Supreme Court of the United States.
Israel orders mass expulsion in Gaza. Israel's army have ordered a mass expulsion of Palestinians from parts of Khan Yunis, the Gaza's second largest city. In preparations for another ground invasion, the order has led to a panicked evacuations of patients from one of the Gaza's last functioning medical center. Human rights groups condemn Israel for using Palestinians as human shield. The Hurricane Beryl has become an extremely dangerous Category 5 storm, causing devastations in the Windward Island and threatening Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. It is the earliest Category 5 storm ever recorded in the Atlantic, highlighting concerns about an active hurricane season. The Pakistan has started the second phase of expelling the undocumented Afghan refugees, with around 800,000 expected to be forcibly returned. This follows the expulsion of 500,000 Afghans last November. Many fear returning to Taliban's ruled Afghanistan. The Taliban representative attend the UN talk in Qatar. The Taliban representatives are participating in the UN-led talks in Qatar with delegations from over 24 countries, amid it reintegrating Afghanistan into the international community. The UN has not recognized the Taliban rule due to the ban on female education and employment. The Afghan Defense Minister Mohammad Yaqub Mujahid also attended a maritime conference in Doha, further underlining the significance of these diplomatic engagements. The Panama's new president vows to block migrants. The President Jose Raul Molino of Panama has pledged to stop asylum seekers from crossing through the Darien jungle en route to the United States. He announced an agreement with the Biden administration to deport migrants apprehended in the Darien Gap, with the U.S. assistance in covering deportation costs. The Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro has agreed to resume the direct negotiation with the United States to ease sanctions that have severely impacted Venezuela's economy. This comes ahead of Venezuela's president election, where Maduro seeks a third term. Report highlights preventable deaths in ICE custody. A report by the ACLU and other right groups found that most deaths in the ICE custody from 2017 to 2021 could have been prevented with adequate medical care. The report criticizes ICE's oversight and accountability mechanisms, pointing to gross medical neglect and preventable deaths. The protest erupts across France following presidential elections. The massive protests have erupted across France in response to the President Emmanuel Macron's re-election. Demonstrators are expressing their discontent with Macron's policies. Protests in major cities like Paris, Marseille, and Lyon have led to the violent clashes between demonstrators and police. Protesters have set fires and built barricades where the police have used tear gas and made arrests. President Macron has called for calm and urged protesters to engage in the dialogue. The protests have disrupted public service and transportations across France. The Russian forces have launched a new offensive in the eastern Ukraine targeting key cities and infrastructure. The heavy fighting have been reported in the Donetsk and Luhansk region, with both sides suffering significant casualties. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called for increased international support and more advanced weaponry to defend against the Russian advance. In response, Western countries have pledged additional military aid including advanced missile systems and drones. The humanitarian situation continues to worsen with millions of Ukrainians displaced and in need of urgent assistance. The international community remains deeply concerned about the escalating conflict and its potential to destabilize the region further. Diplomatic efforts to negotiate a ceasefire have stalled, with both Russia and Ukraine accusing each other of not being serious about peace talks. The conflict shows no signs of abating as Russia seeks to solidify its control over occupied territories and the Ukraine wants to reclaim its territories. Kenya politicians accused of sponsoring protests. 6 politicians have been accused of financing and infiltrating planned peaceful demonstrations leading to the unrest and violence. ODM calls for the President Ruto resignation. The ODM party demands the President Ruto resignation, holding his administration responsible for deaths, injuries, and destructions during the recent protests. That's all for now. Subscribe our channel. Thanks for watching.